So a lot of folks I'm finding in consulting folks on nootropics, I mean, I've been finding this over the years, but more so now. I mean, I'm more exposed to, folks in this situation are using nootropics for verbal fluency in the corporate sector. We did a podcast on nootropics in the corporate sector. I think it was like 14 or 15 or 16, in which we really talked about the prevalence of modafinil, particularly in the corporate sector. I think folks would really be surprised how many of the higher level corporate folks within any number of companies, whether we're talking about The Guardian, that's just an example. I know nothing about anyone in The Guardian that takes nootropics. I'm just saying companies at that scale, or you're talking about Apple, or you're talking about very many Silicon Valley startup companies and big companies alike. The folks at the higher levels, the C-suite particularly, they're taking, a lot of them are taking modafinil, a lot of them are taking nootropics, and a lot of them are doing it for productivity, but a lot of them are doing it for verbal fluency. We consulted a woman who lives in South Africa and gives presentations to folks essentially a lot. I mean, that's the extent of what she seems to be doing throughout the day, sometimes multiple presentations throughout the day. And these are long enough to where, if your verbal fluency isn't on point and your brain isn't working really well, then, you can make or break the efficacy of your presentation, especially in a sales context. You could deter people from buying product. Folks would not want to buy product or service if your verbal fluency isn't straight. There are many other examples of that. A sales guy who's one of the top performing salespersons for a car dealership, a series of car dealerships in California. We consulted on nootropics and the dude already takes some cholinergics, racetams, Noopept, modafinil, but we helped him to understand the synergy of uridine, CDP, choline, and Alcar together, particularly for verbal fluency with a B complex and some DHA. But the bottom line is, that guy, one of the most high performing salespeople in a relatively large used car dealership in California that has multiple locations, is taking nootropics for verbal fluency. Has to be. Sales is such a good example of that. I think that was even one of the podcasts that we did where we talked about salespeople. Folks that their entire job is to inform folks about a service or product, convey to them the features and benefits, and then push them toward deciding, yes or no, I want to do this, it makes sense for me, or no, it doesn't, it's too much money, or whatever. And the driving factor, the predominant driving factor, I mean, there's two really. It's knowing what you're talking about. It's three. It's knowing what you're talking about, having a good product, number two, and then being verbally fluent about it. Being verbally fluent in your in the process of conveying to a customer features, benefits, whether or not they should get something, what the price point is, how it's going to benefit them, and all the rest of that stuff. And so, man, I just want to say it is more prevalent than folks think. So many people are coming up, into the world of nootropics for verbal fluency, for business situations. And if folks are looking for suggestions on that, I'm always going to run through the things that I know work really well. Colaracetam has been on my verbal fluency suggestion list a lot lately because folks seem to respond very well to it. It seems to come with minimal to no side effects for most people that can tolerate cholinergic compounds, racetams, etc. And the standout effect, in addition to working memory for people, is that they get good verbal fluency with it. Me too, me included. It's one of my favorite racetams because of it. It's so freaking convenient. 5 to 10 milligrams sublingually, and you're done. Optional choline source if you need to. But the primary, one of the primary verbal fluency stacks that I know works well, for a lot of folks. I know it's hard to make generalities and it's hard to make blanket statements in the nootropic sphere, but I just know this works for very many folks. Is a uridine, Alcar, CDP, choline-centric stack, with uridine being right around 150, Alcar being right around 300, and CDP choline being right around 80 milligrams. For people, titrate, of course, accordingly. If you want to apply that stack, use that stack. But I find myself suggesting, because look, I've already discovered that stack works really well for me for verbal fluency, but I find myself suggesting that stack to corporate folks that we consult on nootropics that need it for verbal fluency, them reporting back this is the best thing I ever took for verbal fluency, period. And folks getting a lot of great benefit from it. So colaracetam, the uridine, Alcar, CDP stack, and a few other very, very powerful stacks for verbal fluency that one could apply. But the major overarching point is, if you think folks in corporate aren't using nootropics, they totally are. Folks in the startup community are totally using nootropics, and a lot of them, I'm just seeing a trend that folks are wanting to use nootropics for verbal fluency in situations in which they got to give long presentations for a while. They got to be verbally fluent in sales contexts, or they got to be verbally fluent in other contexts, like where they're talking to customers or talking to their boss or talking to people within the company, all day. And I think it's pretty interesting because, we're all, I think a lot of us in the nootropic sphere, think especially for new getting into it. I know for the first couple years I was like, is this just fringe? Is this just this new fringe thing? And will it die off? Not even close. It's only getting more popular. Nootropics are only continuing to gain a significant footing among particularly professional people, and people that just and people that want better brain performance in response to some sort of degradation from long-term pharmaceutical compound usage or whatever that might mess with the cholinergic system or something. And I think that's really cool that nootropics are becoming more popular in the corporate community, and folks are realizing, look, they can take these compounds, modulate neurochemistry, and as a result get better verbal fluency in the corporate environment. Makes a lot of sense. For pretty powerful stacks for that particular situation, I would say we have a good amount of those kind of stacks in Smarter, Better, Faster, the nootropics guide that we wrote that's digital. That's primarily centric around new folks that are new to nootropics and want to just understand everything there is to know about how to start and how to use them and what stacks to take. But some of the real advanced verbal fluency stacks we have in the Racetam God Guide. Stick around for 2 minutes if you guys want to. If you're thinking about pulling the trigger on any of our products, we're still running that special where everything's super cheap. The RGG, which is the Racetam God Guide, that's $17 through Sunday. Today's Saturday. This will be up Saturday. The Smarter, Better, Faster guide is $17 as well, and the Cortex stack is at $28. Powerful stack, combines uridine and CDP, one of those verbal fluency combos. We'll host these specials through Sunday. Stick around for a minute so you can check out the video, a couple minutes to check out the video that explains all that stuff, and thanks so much for watching. What's up, everybody? Ryan Michael Balla here. Hey, look, listen, if you've been waiting to pull the trigger on any of our products, whether the Cortex stack, the Racetam God Guide, which is a guide of 80-plus Racetam stacks, prototropic stack that have taken me just about 9 years to figure out, or the Smarter, Better, Faster guide, which is a digital guide. Both of those are digital guides, which lays out how to use nootropics, a bunch of different things, choline sources, Racetams, how to weigh and make your own nootropics, cycling on nootropics, modafinil strategies, everything else in between. Then now is basically the time because we're running specials on everything, so I'm just going to show you what we got. The Cortex stack, let's start with the Cortex stack. That's our stack that combines uridine monophosphate, CDP, choline, artichoke extract, and Bacopa monnieri. Pretty highly functional for any number of things: motivation, speed of processing, mental energy. It's really a productivity stack. That's a thing. This is a commercial stack that took me a long time to figure out. 6.5 years into taking nootropics, I was using this stack to run a company 18 hours a day, and then I basically put it together in a pre-made stack. It is called Cortex. Go to livecortex.com. Watch the trailer. The trailer, that video up there shows the epicness of the compound. That's a U.S. Army combat veteran who was part of the beta testing program for Cortex, saying Cortex rocked his world. And we just sort of talk about, this is on the livecortex.com website, what nootropics do, and then run through some of the ingredients. Uridine particularly, we're putting emphasis on there because it's very powerful. $28 for Cortex, normally $34.99, $28. All right, get it at livecortex.com. Then the Smarter, Better, Faster Nootropics guide, which again, I've been saying this lately, this is the guide for folks that are new to nootropics. If you're new and you need to learn how to use nootropics, you need to understand choline sources, aniracetam stacks, uridine monophosphate, alcar, theanine, modafinil protocols, adrafinil strategies, making your own nootropics, everything in between. We've got the iOS version, Kindle version, PDF version, meaning these are digital. You can download them for any device you have. Basically, that's what this is about, surgically using nootropics. We've got stacking alcar with racetams, stacking paracetam with caffeine and theanine, aniracetam microdosing, just stuff like that. Very, very high-level nootropic stuff, but easy for folks that are coming in. This is the trailer. The trailer on these products are so awesome. Look, we answer basic questions like, can I mix racetams and all these different things. You walk away with a Smarter, Better, Faster guide knowing how to use nootropics. This is an expert modafinil user. Guy's been programming and using using modafinil for a while, weighed in. It's $17, all right? $17 for Smarter, Better, Faster. That's a special. Get it at livecortex.com. Lastly, we got the racetam stack list, okay? This is the racetam God Guide. There's 80 or so plus racetam stacks. Look, fasaracetam, phenibut stacks, colaracetam, oxiracetam stacks, surgical centrophenoxy, oxiracetam, Nupep, racetam stacks, pramiracetam, modafinil. Like, don't gloss over that. That's a pretty significant stack here. So we're really putting together stacks that have taken me a long time to figure out. You got to watch the trailer on this. This thing is epic. These stacks, turn on any number of different brain functions, from verbal fluency to speed of processing to mental energy to all of those, to many different things combined, to brain fluidity, just total cerebral output. That's what the Racetam God Guide offers in terms of stacks. Again, this is instantly downloadable, easily digestible. That right there was like an iBooks library. You can get it on your iPhone, iPad, Android, whatever you got. $17 for the Racetam God Guide, all right? All right, guys, all this stuff is on sale. Head over to livecortex.com. Get this stuff. We're going to be running all these specials where Cortex at 28, Cortex is at 28, the Racetam God Guide and the Smarter, Better, Faster guides are at 17 for the remainder of the weekend. It'll be Friday, tomorrow, depending on where you are. It could be Friday already, but we'll run these specials until the end of Sunday, so you got the weekend to get it done. But if you've been thinking about pulling the trigger on any of our products, this is the time. We got specials. Stuff is cheap. All right, make it happen. Go to livecortex.com. Buy whichever product or all the products, whatever products you've been interested in getting while we have these specials going on. Thanks for listening.